Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. We are continuing our original Dungeons & Dragons campaign using outdoor survival and chainmail. The wolves of Mepool are going to enter the first dungeon and hopefully come back with some magical loot. So like I said, this is going to be a relatively small dungeon, so we're going to use the deck of many dungeons for this one. It's just going to be one level dungeon. The way this works, if you haven't seen me use it before, is we have 4 entrances, which we'll kind of shuffle in. We'll decide one of those. And then these are basically the quest goal cards. I'm going to put these into the deck. I'm going to take the deck itself and, shuffle it together. Each time we enter a room, we put down a card. Now I'm going to do this a little bit different because it's not just going to be quest goal and we're done, because that might take too long or be too short, I suppose. What the quest goal is going to be is the ghoul with the magic armor that we're after. Every other room, I'm going to roll like I normally would in OD&D. I'm going to roll to see if there's a monster, roll to see if there's a treasure, and we'll go from there. If I come up with a random monster that is the ghoul, then we'll know that's the quest goal. So it could happen, somewhere else. But for now, if we hit the king card, that will definitely be it. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to pick one of these. We'll take this one. And that's going to be our entry. Okay, the party is getting ready to enter the dungeon. I'm going to go over it again, some tools, which I have in the past, but this could be your first time. So again, I'm using the deck of many dungeons for this. And you've got a few different types of rooms. So if a room like this one has a monster listed, I'm not going to use these monsters, but there will be a monster in the room. If a room like this one has treasure listed, again, I won't use this treasure, but there will be treasure in the room. And if we get to, or when we get to, hopefully, a king, that's where the final goal will be, in this case, which will be the ghoul with the magic armor. Insofar as monsters are concerned, what I'm planning on doing is this. When I do every other room, so let's say, for instance, this room, let's take a look at this card. This room has a monster. So boom, I'll roll a monster for that. This room doesn't mark at all, so I'm going to roll to see if there is a monster in it and see if there is treasure in it. Any room that has a monster, I'll also roll to see if it has treasure, of course. When I roll on the chart here, because I'm not going to go too crazy with this, they're going to remain the same, but if I roll a 6 on the die, it's going to be the ghoul. I'm not going to roll on the level 4 tables, because this isn't a mega dungeon, and I don't intend there to be massively high powerful monsters in this one particular dungeon, because the treasure in here is going to be pretty minor. Okay, with all that being said, I'm going to use my normal time tracker sheet here, and we're just going to go for it. Let me shuffle these back into the deck, and let's begin. All right, let's just make some notes here. You can see here that character F has a torch and D has a lantern. So we're going to start off the first turn using my turn tracker with F and D. Okay. This way we know where we're at. The other thing I like to do ahead of time, just because I can make it fit better, is roll the wandering monsters. So you roll every other turn. So let's see if there's one on turn 2. There is, actually. Let's see if there's one on turn 4. There is not. And is there one on turn 6? No. Okay. So on turn 2, we're going to roll a random monster, so we'll see how that works out. Sometimes it's nice you can stick them in a room or something, because you know it's coming. All right, so with all that being said, we have our marching order. Basically, we've got all the guys in plate mail up front for the most part, the wizards in the middle, as you might expect. And let's do this. We enter into the dungeon on the first turn. We can see that we can go left or right. I'm going to go this way. Okay, so this says monster, which is basically a random monster. You're going to roll a D6 plus PC's level. But if we look here, 2 through 8 is none. So since they're first level, basically that means that there wouldn't be a monster here if I was using these cards, so I'm not going to worry about it. But we do come up this hallway. This is basically blocked. I'm going to say that this is going to take us half a turn to get here to this corner and see this. This is probably going to take us, let's say, a D2 turns to clear. Okay, only a D1. So, or only one. So we'll say that they stop here and they have to make a decision. Do they want to go through this? Probably not right this second. Let's just see what else there is. So they're going to go back and go this way. And that'll be the end of the first turn, which is perfect because we're going to encounter a wandering monster. So now, beautiful, there's a secret door here. So is the wandering monster, I'm going to use my oracle. Since it's about a 50-50 chance of these things happening, I'm going to say, which is nice, because, and of course I get this from the basic expert example of play, right, where they have the monster kind of coming out of the secret door. So is the monster coming out of the secret door? I'm going to say there's about a 50% chance that's true. Yes, no. And we'll go by the higher die. Yes, okay. So they're coming out of this secret door. So now I'm going to roll to see if, number one, is the party surprised? They are not. Number two, is the monster surprised? It is. Okay. Secret door opens, monster starts to come out. Let's see what kind of monster this is. So let's see what we got here. We're going to roll a d6. 3. Looking at this chart, we're going to roll from the level 2 monsters. That's always fun to start. Luckily, we have a surprise round. 5. Ooh, 5 are conjurers. Oh, interesting. Or conjurer in this case, because we're on the first level of a dungeon, and a conjurer is a decently high-level magic user. So we basically see this magic user coming out from a secret door. Now we have to decide how we want to handle this. Obviously, we don't know that they're a conjurer. We just know he's some kind of wizard type. But we also know we're in a pretty rough place. So I think we're just going to... This party is just going to go full murder hobo, I think. But let's just see. Are they trigger happy? And will they basically go murder hobo? Let's roll. I'm going to say 50-50 chance. Yes, no. Yes, okay. But only barely. So I'm going to say that the fighters and stuff won't charge forward, but those with missile weapons will discharge. So what do we got? If we have any with missile weapons. Yep, we do. We have a hobbit. Just one. Okay, well. And I guess it's technically a spear with this guy. So that's kind of funny that the hobbit and the elf both kind of make a move for it. So I need to figure out what this conjurer is. He's a 3rd level magic user. You can, yeah, obviously I can roll him up, but the simplest way to do it, just really to make it quick for this, is I'm going to use the OD&D referees tools, which I have a link to. And we can bust out a magic user level 3. Conjurer. Okay. And he's got no magic items or anything. He just has spells. Okay, so let's do this. They're going to attack this guy. He's basically Lightfoot. He is a level 3 magic user. Has 2 hit die, which means that it's going to take 2 hits to take him out. If we choose to do that, which is what we're choosing to do because we're going murder hobo. This is probably how the party dies. Well, you should know that. Actually, you know what? There's only a 5 or a 6. There's only a slight difference in this. I'm going to retcon a little bit. They're gonna basically be aggressive, but they're not going to attack. So they're going to kind of level their bows and stuff at him. And I'm going to say, because they have them ready, that if he does decide to attack them with a negative reaction, they'll still get to shoot their bows before he can react. So he steps out. They aim their bows and they say, "Stop! Tell us why you're here. To what cause do you have to be in this foul place?" And I'm going to roll his reaction. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it just makes more sense, right? I don't want everybody just running around killing everything. So he's lawful. He's lawful. He's here by himself, right? So there's a chance maybe he was with another adventuring party. I mean, there's any number of reasons why he might be here. But first of all, let's find that out first, and then we'll decide whether or not, if we want to adjust his reaction based on that. Where's those other dice? Okay, so let's think about what could be happening here. He's a 3rd level magic user, which isn't like super low level, but he is in the mountains by himself in a dungeon. He could be researching something. He could be here. The most logical thing, I think, is that he was part of another adventuring party that got killed. So I'm going to say 2 dice for yes, 1 die for no, and let's just roll that to see where he's at. Oh, flat up. Okay, so, but I'm going to say it's 2 against 1. So yes and no. We're going to say that he was, so was he then, instead of being part of, was he leading a party? That is, was he, and I still think this is like, in other words, he brought a bunch of like low-level, 0-level henchmen and stuff with him kind of into a dangerous place. No, he wasn't. Okay. Oh, so was he the apprentice of somebody powerful? Yes. All right, well, that makes sense. They ran into a dragon here. We're going to say that he came in here because he basically ran for shelter. He evaded that dragon, just like they did, but his mentor or whatever fought the dragon, which clearly the dragon won because the dragon's not dead. So now I should move these guys. They're basically right here. So now they are effectively, he ran in here for shelter, and he found this secret room and he's been hiding. So that makes sense, right? Now, in this secret room, there is treasure, but of course, he's clearly claimed it. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to make a roll. Like, I'm going to make a reaction roll, and then based on that, we'll kind of decide where he's at. So I'm going to say, all that being said, he's nervous. I'm going to just keep the reaction roll the same. So we're just going to roll. I'm not going to make any modifiers. Okay, hesitant. So I rolled a 7. He's neutral / hesitant. He's not going to attack. He's not. He kind of says. He kind of explains what happened. I was part of a party and we were chased by a dragon into here. They were wiped out. So I sought shelter here, but I haven't explored very deep in there into the dungeon. Now, I think that's probably true. I'm not going to even bother to roll that. But what that does mean is that he is not going to share that treasure that he's got. Whatever he got in that room, he's not sharing. So let's roll to see what it was, though. It's always good to see what kind of treasure's in there. Okay, that's going to be in this book. So we can look at unguarded treasure, which is basically what that would have been. We're on level 1 of the dungeon. There's always 100. Multiply number by 6-sided dice. There's always 100 times a d6 silver. And that's basically what he's going to have on him. 100 silver. And then there is a d6 times 10 gold. So he's got 30 gold pieces. And then there's 5% chance that there's gems or jewelry. So let's just roll that. 10, no. No gems and jewelry. And there's a 5% chance of a magic item. That's kind of interesting. I have actually had this happen before. No. All right, so there was just a little bit of gold. He just pocketed it. It's fine. He's a conjurer. Because he's got a neutral reaction, he's not going to run from the party. Or really help them at this moment unless they can convince him otherwise. They don't have a whole lot to offer yet. I'm just going to say that he explored this entire section, so I'm not going to, because the gold would have been in this room. We're just going to say that he is now occupying here. He basically says, I'm here. I don't really want to go deeper in the dungeon unless, I know there's treasure there. I will go back to town with you, though, and help guard the party on the way back, but I'm not going deeper in the dungeon right now. I think that's where he's at for now, unless they can get some other treasure out of here. So that's both good and bad. I mean, you won't have to split the treasure with them, but they won't have gained a conjurer. Okay, so all that being said, we're going to say that interaction took, it turns 10 minutes, so that took up that entire 10 minutes. He goes back in there. He shows them how to open the secret door because he's somewhat friendly, although he probably goes in there and sets a trap, just in case they're evil. And they're ready to move on. Okay, so they're going to have to clear this out. That's going to take a turn. So they move down here. They clear this out. That's turn 3 and 4. And let's see what's on the other side. Now, in this case, where basically we reach the end, what you're supposed to do is then put one of the final cards there. But I'm not going to do that because clearly that's not enough enough treasure, enough exploration of this monster area. So since there's a monster in here, we're going to deal with this, and then we're going to make another exit over here so that they have to go through where the monster is. So they move up to the top here, and they're going to listen at the door. Up to 3 people can listen at the door at once. I have 2 demi-humans who have a 2 in 6 chance, and I'll have 1 human listen. So these 2 are the demi-humans. Okay, so one of the demi-humans is going to hear whatever's on the other side of that door. So let's roll to see what it is. Again, we're going to make a d6 roll. 2, which is from the first level monsters. Unfortunately, because I set this up, they're going to have to go through this room. 4. Orcs. Ooh, there's orcs in this room. Now, typically, what I do with this situation is I usually do a d6 plus the number of the people in the party. So 8 plus a d6. 3. Okay, so there's 11 orcs in there. So we got 11 orcs. Okay. I'll put some notes over here for my conjurer, just in case we need to encounter him later. So we have 11 orcs. Now, they hear the orcs, so they cannot be surprised. However, they might be able to, that's actually treasure in there as well. They might be able to surprise the orcs. So they're going to actually do this. Up to 3 people can try to force a door at once. If they get the door forced open, you know, in one round, that is, then they're not going to have to roll for surprise. They're just going to get surprise. And what we're going to do is we're going to take, and the guys that are forcing the door won't be able to attack the first round, which is totally fine. So I'm going to take 3 people that are in armored foot. So Pride, who is a cleric, who's in plate mail armor, is going to be one of them. This guy's got a bow, so he's not going to be one. Blue is going to be one. And Clubfoot. Okay, so these 3 in armor are going to smash the door open, and then the halfling who has a bow is going to shoot at the orcs, as is the... yeah, he's going to do that, and then in addition to that, well, he's going to do it after, because spells happen first. They're going to cast a sleep spell. Now, if they don't open the door, then what will happen is the orcs will hear them, obviously, and then we'll have to deal with that as it comes. So you have one or two opens the door. There's 3 of them trying. Yeah, they smash the door open easily. Sleep spell goes off, because, of course, we want to use that if we can. Orcs are first level type, so we're going to go here and look up the sleep spell. By the way, 2 people took sleep spells and 1 person took protection from evil as they went in here, because they knew there was going to be some kind of undead. I feel like since the mapper tells them about the space, then they know a little bit. Okay, 2 to 16 level 1 types. Okay, so I'm going to roll 2d8 to see how many orcs go down, and then the bow shot will fire 4. And 2 is 6. Okay, so 6... Okay, so six orcs go down, leaving 5. That's actually good for morale, or bad for morale, but good for them. And also the halfling's going to get to shoot his bow. Now, this is the first time we've, I think, had a bow shot, so we'll talk about how this works. Now, the way that a short bow works, a short bow is basically against a heavy foot, which is what these guys are. It is 1 die per man, right? Now, in the halfling is 1 man. However, because they're in short range, they get a +1 die for that. So they're going to get to roll 2 dice for that. And, actually, I need to look that up. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick retcon, because, of course, they would know this, and I just wasn't looking at the chart. With the short bow, which is what the halfling has, you basically get 1 die per 2 men against heavy foot, which is what orcs are. So effectively, they're not going to be able to shoot their bow unless somebody else also... Oh, actually, no, I'll do that. So the elf will also throw their spear then. That way we can have 2 men there. Although, yes, that'll work perfectly. So we're going to get 1 die per 2 men. So, and we'll use the halfling's attack. He gets +1 because he's man +1. But in addition to that, he is... He's got a 13 dex, which gives him +1, and that means +1 die. And he's in short range. So basically what that means is 1 die between himself and the elf, so just 1 die, but then 1 die because he's a high dexterity, and then 1 die because he's in short range. So he's actually going to get 3 dice, and because they have a surprise round, he's actually going to get to shoot twice. Once at the beginning and then once at the end, basically. But there will be no melee. Because they're not going to charge the orcs until they take as many out as they can. So they'd rather have him take 2 shots. So also they don't want to run into a room. They're going to block the door. Okay, so I'm rolling all of them at once. None of them. Oh, no, +1 to 1 of the dice. So 5 becomes a 6. So 1 orc goes down. And no orcs a second time. Okay, so now the orcs have lost 7 of the 11. There's only 4 orcs standing at the end of the surprise round, and they're standing there. I'm going to immediately roll a morale check. The orcs' morale is 7, so they basically have to beat. It's the first time they're checking it, so I'm just going to keep it straight. So they've basically got to beat. So I basically do the morale like chainmail, right? So they are heavy foot. They've lost more than a third, so they've got to roll 7 or better to stay in combat. So I'm going to roll 2 dice. If they get 7 or better, they'll stay, and then we'll get into it. 9. All right. They're mad that they just killed. They just killed some of their men. Of course, they don't understand that they might be asleep. There's only 4 orcs left. The fighters that are in the doorway are going to basically get their shoulders together to block the orcs and take any blows. So all the orcs are going to have to attack only armored foot. But because of that, then only some people from the front can actually attack as well. So I'm going to see what we have for weapons. Now, this elf threw his spear, so he's clearly not going to be able to attack from the second rank, which means maybe that was a bad idea. Right, because a spear would have been good from the second rank, but he only has 1, so he doesn't have it. He'll step back. So in the first rank, we're going to put the characters that have the best chance of doing damage, right? So that halfling would be, but again, he has his bow out, so he's going to step back and switch to a sword, so he's going to stay out of the combat for now. And we'll say only 2 guys in the front. I'm just looking for the best weapons. It looks like the 2 clerics look like the best. Oh no, this guy right here is a fighter, even though he uses a mace for some reason. Oh no, sorry. This guy down here is also a fighter, so he's got a sword, which is heavy foot. So he'll attack. Oh no, he's heavy foot though. Okay, so I'm going to keep the armored guys in the front. So we're going to go mace and flail. 2 clerics are going to step up and attack this round, and we'll see where that goes. Now, there is movement and spells and stuff, so there's not a lot of room here, so I'm not going to do... Normally, if the orcs had to, like, charge at them, although the room is pretty big. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to use my oracle here. If I roll the white die higher, then the orcs are far enough away that the halfling will get, like, a in-between shot as they try to charge. Oh, yeah, he will, okay. So the halfling's going to get 1 more shot. They're right here, by the way. He's going to get 1 shot as they're kind of running up, and then the 2 clerics are going to step on the doorway and smash them with the maces. So again, he just gets 3 dice again. He can add 1 to one of them. Oh, yeah, he takes another orc out. All right, leaving only 3 orcs. So the 3 remaining orcs charge towards the door. The 2 guys in the door are armored foot, and they're attacking as heavy foot. So let's take a quick look at our charts to see what we need for numbers. So the PCs are heavy foot. They're attacking heavy foot, so they get 1 die per man with a 6 killing. The orcs are heavy foot as well, but they're attacking armored foot. 1 die per 2 men. And since there's only 3 orcs, that means they get 1 die. So just to keep life easy, the 2 white dice are the clerics, that's the orc. Any 6s are kills. No. Okay. First round of combat, everybody clashes, and basically that's what happens. The orcs are up front now. Let's see, I'm going to do another morale check because, well, actually, technically, once you check it once, they're fine. So they're just going to keep fighting. What I'm going to do here, though, is I think the halfling... Now, I'll keep the order that we've got because I don't want the halfling to get killed because he doesn't have enough armor. So next round. Ah, so close. That would have been a kill with the halfling. Okay. Next round. Oh, no. Because combat's simultaneous. 1 orc goes down, but so does one of our party members. So I'm going to roll to see which one. D6, it'll be the first one or the second one. All right, so pride goes down, but so does 1 more orc, leaving only 2 orcs left. The halfling's going to step up at this point because he really needs to. I think he's in armor, actually. Yeah, he's armored foot as well. All right, so at this point, again, the orcs only get to roll 1 die, but I'm going to do these a little differently because the halfling gets to add 1 to his. So I'm going to roll them a little separately. So orc attacks, misses. A halfling kills. Okay, which means there's only 1 orc left after this round, but let's see if the cleric takes 1 out. He does not, but there's only 1 orc left. He can't hit them. It's an impossible fight at this point. So the PCs win. That's basically how that works. They've slain 11 orcs, but 1 of the player characters has gone down, which is very sad, but, you know, that's what happens. We've got some treasure in here, which again is going to be all pretty minuscule because it's just the, well, no, this is guarded treasures. This could be from an orc, but there's only 11 orcs here, so we're going to do a little bit of finessing with the numbers, because clearly the orcs are not going to have the type of treasure on them that they would have if they were in their lair. You know, it seems like they're set up here. I think I'll give them a little bit extra treasure just to make it feel a little bit, because they are with a monster, so typically you would have the monster treasure and then divide it, because there's 11 of them, which is like, I don't know, 10%. You know, let's just do it. We'll just do it. We'll just make that happen. So if we look at, start over. Okay, the orcs are dead. There's treasure in here. I could just roll unguarded treasure, but I think what we'll do is we'll take a look at monster and treasure, and we'll say, all right, well, orcs can normally be up to 300 of them, and there was 11, right? So that's like 3%. But it's 3% of the total, but it's not 3% of the average. So the average is 150, which is like, makes it around, I mean, a little bit less than 10%, which I think is legit. I'm going to roll treasure type D and then give about 10% of that treasure to the character. So let's take a quick moment to do that. I'm just going to use the app because, again, it's faster. Normally I would roll it out in person, but you know what? I'm going to actually roll it physically because I think it's more fun, and I'll just come back. I actually realized that maybe it would be, I mean, you're watching an actual play, you might actually want to see how this is done. So treasure type D, we're going to roll on each of these charts. So there's a 10% chance, so 1 in 10, no. There's a 15% chance here, so I'll roll actual percentiles. Okay, 12. Okay, so yes. 1 to 12,000 silver. And again, we're going to divide this, so they're not going to get all of this. So that's 9,000 silver pieces. Then we're going to go 60% chance. 51, so there is this as well, which is thousands of gold, 1 to 6,000, 2,000. Okay. 30% chance for gems and jewelry. So gems first. No, bummer. Jewelry. 7. Yeah, there's jewelry. 1 to 10. 4. 4 jewelry. Okay, and then we have 20% chance for basically 3 magic items. So since we're going to get about a third of this, it'll be 1 magic item if they get it. So, but it's a pretty small chance, 20% chance. 97, nope. Okay, so that leaves us with this. And again, if we just take this and we say, basically we've got, here's where I'll use my phone, do math. The average number of orcs is, let's say 330 divided by 2, 65. And if we say there was 11 here, so there's basically just shy of 7%. So I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to go 9,000 times 7%. So 630 silvers, 2,000, 140 gold. And then, so there's 4 jewelry. I'm just going to say that it's 1, just to make life easy. And then we'll go over here to our jewelry. I know, because I feel like I'm already being a little bit generous here, so I don't want to like be over generous with the jewelry. We'll roll percentiles to see. 5, which gives us 3 6-sided dice times 100 gold piece value. So there's 1 piece of jewelry worth 11, 14, so times 100, so 1,400. We'll call it a necklace, because I always like necklaces. All right, so, I mean, they lost a party member, which is a bummer, but they did get 630 silver pieces, 140 gold, and a piece of jewelry worth 1,400. So I'll add that to this guy over here. All right. It is a bummer to lose a character, but it is what it is at this point. There is going to be a passageway off the side of this room because, again, I didn't want to end the thing here. So, oh, the king, this is actually the final room. So, which is totally fine because I feel like I said it was going to be small, so it can be small. All right, they're going to listen at this door. Obviously, there was a combat in here, so the ghoul is probably not going to be surprised, right? But same thing as before. I always think, even though they say undead don't make noise, I always assume ghouls make noise because they're like rah, 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 eating stuff, right? So, oh yeah, 2 people hear the ghoul. At that, the elf is going to cast protection from evil on themselves, which basically makes them immune to attacks from the ghoul, which is nice. And unfortunately, this magic user can't do nothing. It's a bummer that we lost a cleric in that other fight, but the cleric's going to prepare to turn undead. They're not going to be able to surprise the ghoul, but I will roll for distance to see where, I mean, it's not going to be standing right next to the door. So the room is 100 feet long. I'm just going to roll. Yeah, it's way at the other end. So it's sitting up there. Maybe it's gnawing on bones or something. And there it is, right? We got the ghoul at the other end of the room. So we're about to go into a fight with the ghoul. Now, ghoul fights as a... So a ghoul fights as a light horse. Basically, what that means is, before we get into this, we're going to work all these things out before we start. Because the cleric might be able to turn the ghoul, but it won't be able to destroy it, so they're going to have to fight it no matter what. So the ghoul fights as a light horse, right? So depending on who it's attacking, it's going to be kind of interesting. The party is going to have to attack a light horse. That makes it very difficult to attack, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to, they're going to get ready for this. They want the clerics to turn undead, so they don't know where the ghoul is in the room, right? So they're not going to be the ones opening the door. So I'm going to say, since the magic user is protected with the protection from evil, they're going to open the door, as well as the halfling fighter and the other fighter who's not, he's only heavy foot, but they want 3 of them to open. They're going to push the door open, and the clerics are going to step in. And when I say clerics, I've got one. No, he's not a cleric. Oh, cleric. There's just one cleric. This guy right here. He's going to step in. He's going to try to turn undead, and the elf is going to stand in the doorway as well. I feel like that makes the most sense. He's also armored foot, which is nice. Okay, so again, I'm going to try to block the door. I think that makes the most sense. Halfling's going to shoot his bow immediately, but I don't think that's going to do anything against light horse. But we'll see, and we'll go from there. So let's see if they can open the door. That's number 1. They cannot. Okay, they slam the door, and it does not open, which means the ghoul is going to close the distance. So what this means is when they open the door this next time, assuming they can, the ghoul is going to be, it can move 6 inches, so it's going to basically be halfway across the floor. Okay, they smash it open. They smash the door open. The halfling is going to take a shot with their bow first. So let's see. Oh, no, I got to look here. Unfortunately, I didn't have my thing printed out with me, so I have it on my phone, but I will just give you the numbers. So I'm not sure that the short bow can actually I don't think it can actually hurt light horse, to be honest. No, it's 1 die per 2 men. Oh, I can do the same thing I did before with the elf throwing the spear. Especially since it's closer, so now it's close enough to do that. So it's going to be just like before. Basically 3 dice, and a 6 is a kill. So this could be over real quick if one of these comes up a 6. Otherwise, we're going to get into melee. No. Okay. the arrow flies by and just the ghoul just sticks deeply into the ghoul. It just keeps charging at the party. However, before that happens, turn undead before it gets to us. Our one cleric is going to make an attempt. I believe a first level cleric can turn a ghoul. I could be wrong about that. I think they need a really high number though. Like possibly 11 or something like that. Okay, Acolyte needs an 11 on 2d6. If they can do this, the ghoul will run backwards, giving the halfling another chance to shoot with the bow before the combat actually happens. Nah. Ghoul charges forward, it's going to attack. Now, there's two people standing in the front in armor, so they can basically, I think that's what I said, right? The cleric steps in, and the other fighter, yeah, they're both in heavy armor. So, basically, I was thinking this guy, but he's not going to, why would he step forward if he doesn't need to? So basically what's going to happen here is the cleric is going to, the ghoul's going to get to attack these guys. And again, light horse against armored foot is 1 die per man, 6 kills. So the ghoul's going to get to roll 1 die. And if they get a 6 on it, the party member's dead. Now, the elf once again threw their spears, which is probably a bad idea. So once again, I only have two guys in the front fighting the ghoul. They are both, but I can actually have 2 fighters do it this time. So they're both going to get, I can have this human fighter and the halfling do it. So basically, those 2 guys are in the front now. And what we're going to have is one, I think it's actually 1 die per 2 men with them as well. So let's take a look. Because they're heavy foot. Yep, 1 die per 2 men. Okay, so what that means is basically the dark die is the ghoul, the white die is the player characters. The player characters get a +1 on theirs though. So if this one comes up a 6, one of the fighters is dead. If this comes up a 5 or 6, the ghoul is dead. The ghoul's not wearing the magic armor, just in case you're wondering about that. I feel like that's a little bit weird. Ghouls don't wear armor. Oh! Fantastic. Okay, so the ghoul charges forward, and the 2 fighters leap forward with their swords and run it through the ghoul. They just kicked the camera. And, yeah, it falls to the ground dead. Wow. That was very, very lucky. And the ghoul falls to the ground. They come into the room, and we've got basically the main treasure here. And then again, this is the main, that's definitely going to be there, but we'll do the same thing we did last time. There's only 1 ghoul here, which is, if we look at Monster and Treasure, there could be 2 to 24, right? So we're like, was that like 5% or 4% of the maximum number? Well, the average would be 12, would be 13. So there's like less than 10%. So what we're going to do is look at the ghoul's treasure, type B, and we'll do the exact same thing we did before. We'll calculate it out, and then I'll do the exact math here. So if there's 1 out of 13, yeah, well, actually, it's almost 8%. So we got about 8% of that treasure, but it will definitely be a magic item, and it'll definitely be the magic items. Okay, type B. I mean, it could be all that's here, but we'll find out. It does happen. All right, type B treasure. This is our ghoul. And of course, they're getting the armor and shield. Type B. If you can see that very well, but I guess before when I was rolling, I had this way over here. Okay, so let me do it so you can actually see it. Okay, so type B treasure. %50 chance there's going to be copper. And you might scoff at copper pieces, but hey, early on, it's money. Okay, 17, there is copper. So 1 to 8,000 copper pieces. Thankfully, this is a large party, so they'll be able to carry them out. 5,000 copper pieces. But again, we're going to divide this. There's only going to be 8% of that. 25% chance for silver. 25 exactly, okay. So there's 1 to 6,000 silver. This is a little better, 4,000 silver pieces. 25% chance for gold. Let's hope we get the gold. Nobody cares about silver. Well, I mean, you care about it a little bit. 41, no gold. 25% chance for gems. 80, no gems. Okay, this is a bummer. And 92, no jeweler. Okay, so there's basically some copper and some silver here, which I'm going to do some quick math. So we got 400 copper, which is easy enough to carry. So we got 400 copper pieces. $320 gold pieces. All right. All right, well, that's not a terrible haul. And of course, the 2 magic items. And they killed a ghoul. I gotta make note of that. They actually took out 11 orcs. They did lose a party member, but... All right. Whew. All right, let's do a quick aftermath report. The dungeon itself is pretty small, which is what I planned here. They met this magic user conjurer. I think they're going to go back because they got some treasure and probably bring him back to town with him. And he'll obviously be happy about that. And he may even join the party, although he's a little bit higher level. So he may want a greater share of the treasure. So we'll have to see how that works out. But I think for the trip home, we'll say this conjurer is going to go with them because that was let's roll. There's a good chance he will, but maybe he's like, no, I don't trust these guys. Yeah, he's gone. So this magic user is going to join the party, at least temporarily. They've got their cleric, whose body they will drag back to give a proper burial, hopefully. They do have 1 mule, so they should be able to do that. The amount of gold they picked up is not over-encumbering. So now it's just a matter of getting back home, delivering the goods to their patron, and seeing what the next adventure is. Okay, having successfully traversed the dungeon, losing 1 character, unfortunately, Pride the cleric, but picking up a new friend in the conjurer, which, by the way, I read it wrong, and she's actually a female. So she is going to join the party. She's level 3. She's just going to travel back with them. Like I said, I'll determine if I want to bring her into play for something else later on, but for now we're going to assume that when they get back to town, she's going to go her own way. It is the 20th of February. There's basically 8 characters, so they have 16 rations. They have 2 days worth of food. So what they're going to need to do is stock up on food, because if they can't, then they're going to be moving real slow, which is bad because that increases chances of encounters. Now over here, just 2 days away, if they're lucky with their movement, is a hunting ground. So that's the plan, is to move them there. So starting on the 20th of February, let's see if we can get to where we need to go. So they've just got 2 days worth of rations, so I'm just going to do that to start with. Okay, so they're in the mountain, so we're rolling. 5. Okay, 5 in the mountains is not getting lost, so they can move. It costs 3 movement to go there, which we knew that was going to happen. They've used up a ration. And they move 1 day. We check the 5 against the encounters, and there is an encounter. Whoosh, okay. So this is not good for them, but it is what it is, right? Oh, it's a dragon. Hey. Didn't we encounter a dragon here once before? So there's a dragon. Well, we're going to roll on the dragon table anyways. I rolled an 8. Dragon table. Let's hope that it's not a Hydra with 12 heads that kills us all. 7. Ooh, cockatrice. Okay, I think cockatrice are faster than us, but let's just check it. Yep, they can fly. But they're not twice as fast as us. Their speed is 18, which is faster, but not twice as fast. There is a 35% chance this is their lair, and there's between 1 and 8 of them. So let's roll to see if it's their lair first. 20. This is their lair. Nice. All right, so we found another lair. The good thing about lairs is that like I said, they're valuable. You know, the player characters could hold on to the information themselves to come back, and maybe they will do that, or they can give it to their patron. In this case, because they are, hopefully, if they don't die, they are bringing back what they came for, so they could decide to keep that information secret. We'll decide that later. But this is their lair. There's between 1 and 8 of them. 7. Okay, again, that might sound bad, and it would be if they were going to fight, but because there's more of them, there's a better chance of evading. So again, the party now is 9. There's over 60%. They have a 70% chance of evading because the cockatrice are not twice as fast, so they don't get any kind of bonus or penalty. 69, oh my god. 70% chance of evading, and they rolled a 69. So 69, they evade the cockatrice, nothing happens, they're good to go. Whew, okay, that's good. Now, before I do anything else, I just want to mark this spot on the map. I'm just going to put a die on there for now. That's the easiest way to do it. Because that's where the cockatrice lair is. We need to measure that out. I just put the ruler away, so... Or did I? Where did the ruler? Oh, there it is. So I won't even do that. Okay. Okay, before we go any further, I'm just going to measure to see where this cockatrice lair is, so we can put it on the our dealio here. So 12 goes to there, plus another inch. So that's 13. It's there, right? It's right on the path, actually. 5. We'll call it, well, it's there, actually. So it's, yeah, 5 3/4 and 13. Cool. All right. This way we know it's there. We can, again, we can sell that information back to our patron or use it for further adventures. Obviously, they're not going to go after the white dragon themselves. But cockatrice might be something they can go after. We'll have to decide. I'm guessing no, but you never know. All right, here we go. Let's hope that we do not roll a bad number here. So again, because we're on the path, if we roll a 1, we're lost. A 5 or 6, there will be an encounter. Let's roll. 5. Not great because we have an encounter, but so we move here. Actually, should I meta this thing? I'm not going to meta it. What I should do is meta it and move further, because I could actually move 1 square and be in the clear and it wouldn't be an encounter, but I'm not going to do it. I already said what I was going to do. Declaring actions ahead of time is how you got to do it when you're doing this. You're only cheating yourself. All right, so there's an encounter again. We really don't want to have to move because this is where the food is and we need this. So we got a 3 in the mountains, a giant type. So D12, 4. Ooh, hobgoblins. Okay, no like humanoids are twice as fast as us. Hobgoblins move 9, which is actually slower than us. We're not twice as fast as them. They're not twice as fast as us, so none of that matters. Let's roll to see if this is their lair. 30% that it is. 17, this is their lair. Wow, okay, hobgoblin lair. Okay, so with the hobgoblin lair, wow, we're like half an inch, so we're like 6 inches, so we just basically over an inch, right? So we're like 13, so we're 13.5 and 6. Actually, I probably should measure that. I'm just eyeballing it, but it will matter. Yep, 6. And I probably should measure from the other side when it's this. In fact, I will do that. Yeah, it's 10.5 from the other side. Probably shouldn't go over 12 in any direction. Do the same thing over here, actually. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing over there. So this is 11. Instead of 13, it's going to be 11. Cool. All right. Okay, hobgoblins. So, well, with the hobgoblins, we want to 20 to 200. So that's basically a D10 times 20. We want a high number here. Ooh, that's low. Okay, it's still more than 25% though. There's 60 of them. Obviously, we're not going to fight 60 hobgoblins. So we're between 25 and 60. We have a 50-50 chance. Let's hope for the best because we really don't want to move if we can avoid it. 12. Okay, so we avoid them. There's a bunch of hobgoblins here. We see that it's their lair, but we're able to kind of dodge out of the way. Thankfully, because that was the last day's worth of food we have, unfortunately, actually, I think I know what I'm going to do. This is a little bit risky, but I think I'm going to... That's also the river. I'm looking for other food sources. Well, let's see how much we get. Okay, not great. 7 times 2 is 14, which isn't really even 2 days worth, and it'll take us probably close to a week to get up there. So now I have to decide. If I stay here... No, you know what? I'm going to risk it. I'm going to actually move this way. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because we're going to sit on this river, which is an increased chance of an encounter, but the encounters out there should be a little bit less dangerous, I'm hoping. I mean, the best place to be is a food that's in the clear, but I don't see one really close that would be any safer. No, not really. So we either stay here another day, which is basically we have a 4 and 6 chance of an encounter, or we move down to the river and we only have one on a 5 and a 6, which, you know, that makes a difference. So let's do that. So I'm going to roll. Hopefully we don't get lost. 6, we do not. We are going to have an encounter though. Okay, so we can move a full 3. So 1, 2, 3. We can't go quite to the food today, and that is eating up. Okay, so I'm going to do this. So the rations are... There's 8 of us, right? So I'll just do, so it's 1 days and we got 6 left. Let's see. So there is an encounter. It's in the clear. This is how we get the treasure, then we ended up dying on the way home. 7. Animals. Okay. So I've done this before. High is going to be giant animals. Low is going to be regular animals. Okay, high. So giant animals. So there's 2 to 6. Well, you've probably seen this all before. At some point, I'm going to stop showing this every single time. But basically, you got 2 different categories. Giant animals are like 2 hit die and more. So 2 to 16. So let's roll first to see what kind it is. 3. Ooh, giant lizards. Well, that's fun. So those are probably actually going to be like even a higher hit die. So we definitely want to run from those. 7. 11. So out of 16, that is, let's see, 8 would be 50%. So that makes it like a little bit more than 60%, which is good for us. Over 60%, we have a 70% chance of avoiding them, which we want to do, obviously. 75, we do not. So we must now move 1. They're not twice as fast as us. I pretty much decided that most ground things aren't going to be twice as fast as us. So we got to move 1 day in a wrong direction, which is bad because this is basically using up the rest of our food. 4. Oh, okay. At least we stayed in the clear. They can't follow us, so we're basically good there. We have to wait half a day of rest. But now because we've run out of food, although we're not fully out of food, 1 of us can't eat, basically. Or 2 of us can't eat. And we have a mule, so... You know, I'm going to say that we just use up the rest of the food. I'm not going to be too strict on myself. I think I have a lot of the player characters to get away with that. But if we don't get food this next day, then we're definitely going to have issues, which is right there. So we're going to roll. Normally you'd make a roll under your con, but I feel like we could probably just... We're only going to move 1 hex, so... All right, we rolled a 5. Oh, this sucks. But we need to do it. We move here. So we landed on food, which is good, except for the fact that... Like we ran because we were... Yeah, we can't even do that. So actually, I got a retcon, which is good for me. I actually can't do that because we lose... We have to spend half the day resting after we moved, which means we'd only have 1 hex of movement, and that costs 3. So what I'm going to do instead is just stay here and rest the full day. So then we'll still count this 5. But if we look in the woods, this clear, there's no encounter. So we're actually good there. I also should be counting these days, which I just didn't. So that's 4. Okay. Now we're going to try to move. So kind of cheated a little bit, but not really. 5. Same thing happened, so it doesn't actually matter. Okay, so we don't get lost. So this is this karma, right? And we end up on the river. And on the river, there is an encounter. And if we get pushed off the river, we won't be able to get food, which is going to be bad for us. We're back to that whole there's not enough food situation. So let's roll to see what monster we encounter. 3. 3 on the river is a giant type. Oh, interesting. Maybe we'll find another lair. We've been finding so many lairs. So let's roll to see what kind it is. 9. 9 is gnomes. Hey! Well, that's not so bad. Let's look at gnomes. I think gnomes are generally good-natured, but I think they actually just fall under men, if I'm not mistaken. No, they do not. Gnomes have their own little category. How nice. Okay, so they're slower than we are. Not twice as slow. There's a 60% chance this is their lair, so we might find another lair. 42. This is a gnome lair. Hey, the gnomes live here. So there are 40 to 400. So I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm just going to roll a d10. 6, which means there's more than 60%. Okay, so we are still going to try to avoid them, even though they're gnomes, and gnomes are probably lawful. It's still best to try to avoid things. We're in the clear. The thing is, if we don't avoid them, then I'll roll to see what their disposition is. But we're always going to try to run if we can, because it just makes more sense, I think. So we're here, 60%. We have a 70% chance to avoid them. If we do, then we're good. 66. Okay, so we just avoid them. We're not going to worry about the gnomes lair right now. Again, we just got a bunch of treasure. Think about, like Lord of the Rings. Like once they had all the treasure, right? They were like, we're not sharing it. So we're just going to try to avoid anybody until we get home. And this is a hunting ground, which is good. So there's a couple things we need to do. Let's see how much food we can get here. Oh, not much. Okay. That's 8. Maybe we should communicate with the gnomes and see if we can get a better way home. I'm actually wondering if we're not better off going the other direction. I'll talk about that in a second. So that's not enough food for anything. That gives us 1 day's worth of rations, basically. But we don't have to do anything for today. So at least we have 1 day's worth of rations. A day goes by. All right. So let me just think for a second. Well, first of all, let me put the gnome lair on the map. One thing I didn't do in the beginning of this, and I guess I could retcon it, is that I did not think that maybe I should just use the same map for everybody. So, these things are going to appear for anybody on any map, but they're coming from different directions. So, because if I did do that, actually, I think the map would get quite full really fast. So maybe I'm glad I didn't do that. But in any case, we only have 1 day's worth of food, so we really can't leave because we're going to be out of food. So we're going to have to stay here for another day. So let's see if we have an encounter. I'm on the river, so again, a 5 or 6 is an encounter. 6. Okay. We have an encounter. Again, it happens at the end of the day, so we should be able to roll for food before we do that. 10, which is 20, that's good. So 28, that's not bad. There's 8 of us, so we need a little bit more, because I want to get to, we can always stop there, I suppose. But let's see what our encounter is. So we're on the river. 6. Swimmer. Oh, that's interesting. Hey, we haven't had swimmers yet. Let's see. Swimmer type. Oh, God, hopefully it's not a dragon turtle. We'll definitely have to run if we roll that. 6. Giant snakes. Ooh. So again, that's going to be like before. 2 to 16 in number, so 8 and 5. That's more than 60%. So with same numbers as before, we're going to have a 70% chance of avoiding them. I will tell you this, 19, so we'd avoid them. And it's an animal, so we don't worry about it being their lair. Okay, so another day goes by. And I think what we're going to do is move now. We have 28 rations, so if we divide that by 8, that's 3 days rations with 4 extra. So that should be plenty to get us over to here, which is where we're going. So let's roll to see if we get lost. We do not. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to do this because since the rations are so low, it's easy just to do it that way. So a day goes by. We use a ration. We're in the clear with a 3. That's no encounter. Next day, 2. 2 in the clear is not being lost. 1, 2, 3. And like I said before, I think I said this before, we're counting those as food as sources as well. So we land on that. And again, there's no wandering monster. Let's see how much food we pick up. 8 times 2, so basically 2 more days. I think this is our safest place though, because the next place for food is the woods, which has a higher chance of encounter. So I think we're going to stay here another day. Nope, why am I rolling 2 dice? 5. In the clear is no encounter. A day goes by. How much food do we get? 5, which is 10, which is basically just 1 more day's rations plus 2 extra. So I think we're going to stay 1 more day just to see. This is how we get in trouble, but sometimes you got to do it. 4. Okay. 4 means no encounter, so we get more. Well, it's taking us a long time to get back. It took us a long time to get here, too. Oh, my God. That's 4, which basically added to this gives me 2 and 1 more day. We have to stay 5 days. Is that going to be enough to get through? 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's 4 right there, and then 5, 6. No, it's going to take us we need at least like 1 more day's worth. Why am I rolling 2 dice again? We need at least 6 or 7 days, basically. 5. Okay, so in the clearing, that's no encounter. Ugh. Oh, terrible on the food. So that's 4, so 8, so that gives me 1 more day. All right, we're moving. Okay, here we go. Next day. 5. 1, 2, 3. So we're still in the clear, and 5 in the clear means no encounter. Next day. 1. 1 means we're lost. 6. Oh, that's okay. That's the direction we wanted to go. So 1 square in the wrong direction. And then 2, 3. Because it's a trailhead, so it only costs 1. So a trailhead through the forest is just 1. But a trailhead through the mountains is 2. Okay, so we land on food, which is what we wanted. There's no encounter, of course. 6, so 12 is 1 more day plus 4, which doesn't give me enough here, but gives me another day. We're not going to stay here because I don't want to risk an encounter. So I'm going to roll 2 dice all the time. 3. 1, 2, 3. Because again, trailhead through the forest only counts as 1. That goes by. There's no encounter on the trail because the trail counters into 5 or 6. I might even scoop over here and get this food. Maybe I'm being too greedy because there's food up there too. I'm trying to decide if it's worth it to... Each of these is 2, so basically what would happen is I'd move 1, and the next day I'd go 2 days, and then 3 I'd be through. If I do this, it's the same. Okay, so I'm going to go through the woods this time. I'm actually going to turn right now and not bother with that water. 4. So 4, I'm not lost. So I'd move 1 hex, because I'm going to move 2 tomorrow, remember? Because remember, the woods take 2 movements. I only have 3. Day goes by. Day goes by. This is going to be a risky one here, because in the woods, we're lost on 1 to 2 and encounter on 5 or 6. 3. Wow, perfect. So I can move 2 X's today. Day goes by. Ugh, I'm going to run out of food, aren't I? Okay, I just don't want to get lost here. Getting lost would be bad. 3. Wow, perfect. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. I end in the clear, which is no encounter. I have literally just enough to get to that food, assuming that that I don't have an encounter right now. 3. Whew, nice. Because remember, I'm ending in the woods. So 1, 2, 3. I end on food, no encounter. How much? Let me check this off. Oh, I ended on food, so you don't have to do that. Ah, crap. Okay, 4 is 8. That only gives me 1 day. And I think I need at least 3 days to get out. So I think I have to risk it. All right, 1 more day. 3. Okay, good. Come on, high numbers. Okay. 4 is 8 times 2, so that gives me 2 more days of rations. I think that's enough, as long as I don't get lost. So here we go, next day. 5. 1, 2, 3. A 5 means no encounter in the clearing. I just need to get off in the center of the map, so I got like 2 more moves, assuming I don't get lost. 4. 1, 2, 3. 3. Poof, off the map. All right. That was not easy. We left on February 20th. That took another 21 days. So we are deep into March when we return with our loot. Having located multiple lairs here. We located cockatrice lair, a dragon's lair, a hobgoblin lair, and a gnome lair. And on top of that, we also brought back a suit of magical armor and a magical shield and some gold. So I did some quick math. Basically, for the armor, I looked at AD&D for this. The experience points for because we're not selling it, we're bringing it back, that you would get for the armor and shield is 1,050. They got 1,300 in experience points in gold pieces, 1931 experience points. No, I'm sorry, 1931 for the gold, 1,300 for the combat. I rolled gold twice. Because in OD&D, the way that it works is every hit die of a creature, and some people don't like this, it changed in Greyhawk. Every hit die of the creature is 100 experience points, but you divide it by your level compared to theirs. So an orc has 100 experience points to kill if you're a first level character. If you're a second level character, you just get 50. If you're a third level character, you get 33. If you're a fourth level, you get 25, etc., etc. So it does start to become like not worth it. But what I like about this is it does give you that boost early on. And think about it, orcs can kill somebody just as easy as anything else. So the orcs are 100 a piece. There was 11 of them. And the ghoul is 200 because they're 2 hit die. And that's that. Basically, that's our experience points. That's our gold. The Patreon is going to keep, they sent them for the Patreon is going to keep one of the 2 pieces of magic. I'm going to say there's a very good chance it'll be the armor. So I'm going to say if I roll, I'm going to roll this die. If I roll, let's say a 1 or a 2, the Patreon really wanted the shield and they allow the party to keep the armor. Otherwise, otherwise they take the armor. No, they take the armor. So the party's going to end up with the magical shield. Plus they have to share the gold, half the gold with the Patreon. That's how it works. So in some ways they got the short end of the stick here because they're going to be giving up way more. But they're going to have some gold in their pockets, some experience points. And I think because of that, they probably won't reveal immediately to the Patreon where these layers are. I think they might keep those in their pocket for now. We'll see.